When it comes to figuring out what the right story is for your brand to tell, I usually tell people two different things. The first thing is look at other brand films you like and use the same framework of those brand films for your brand film. Just like anything else in marketing, if you like an email template, you can repurpose it, make it your own. If you like some copy, you can make it your own. The way someone designed that ad, you can kind of use that same framework to make it your own for your own marketing efforts. The same is true with brand films. If you like a brand film, use that same system or process they use to tell that story and make it your own. So that's the first thing. Another way to make sure that your story lands with your audience and is the right story to tell is to do a day in the life of one of your customers. Follow them around for a day and position them as the hero, the main character of the story, and your product or your service as the guide that helps that hero step into their preferred future. This is the traditional hero's journey framework that I recommend for any filmmaking. I use in all of my films. That's been used for thousands of years for all the best stories, from religions to plays to books to films today. This is the same framework that about 80% of the films in Hollywood are based upon. Joseph Campbell's book, A Man with a Thousand Faces, I believe it is, did this research where he looked at all of the best stories of all time. And they had a very similar framework for which the story was told. And he has more steps than I'm going to talk about here. I'm going to talk about the three main things, the three main elements that are the core of any good story. He has I think 12 or 15. But if you're doing a 3 to 5 minute film, you don't have time to include all of those different steps. This is the same framework that about 80% of the films in Hollywood are based upon, where you have a hero and a guide that helps that hero step into their preferred future by overcoming a physical obstacle they have, an emotional obstacle they have, or a philosophical obstacle they have. And in brand films, your brand is the guide, or someone who represents your brand or your brand's values. Position that person as the guide that helps the hero, your main character, that represents your customers, step into the preferred future by overcoming a physical obstacle, an emotional obstacle, or a philosophical obstacle. Recently, I was talking to a business owner who has a yoga program that helps truck drivers regain mobility. And she's talking to me. She said, Maxwell, what should I do a brand film about? I said, oh, this is awesome. This is like textbook hero's journey stuff. I told her you should do a day in the life of one of your customers, where you're following around for the day, where they're in their truck, and then when they get home, they're hanging out with their family. And do the first part of the film with them talking about the physical pains they had from truck driving, the emotional pains, and the philosophical pains as a result of being in their trucks all day and all the sitting. So her truck drivers, one of their biggest problems is they're having a lot of back pains and neck pains because they're sitting all day. So that's their physical problem. And because of that, they were having this emotional challenge. They were having these emotional challenges because they weren't able to physically engage with their kids as much as they would like. They weren't able to play with them. They weren't able to chase them around or carry their kids or coach their kids' soccer team because of these physical pains. And the philosophical challenge they're overcoming is because they weren't able to engage their kids like they would like to, they're having these physical problems, these emotional problems, but they're also beginning to feel like a bad parent because they weren't able to play with their kids like they wanted to and feel like they should play with their kids. So that's the before picture in her film. Truck driver, day in the life of, he's in his truck or she's in their truck, following around, talking about these physical, emotional, philosophical challenges, and then the after picture. After doing yoga, I can now pick up my kids. I can now coach soccer. And because of that, I feel like a better parent. And I don't have this low grade nagging thing where I feel like I'm just a crappy parent because I can't play with my kids like I want to and talk with them, engage with them like I want to because I have this chronic back pain. And then you have your film. That's your film. A day in the life of one of your customers. It's important if you do a day in the life of film with your customers that their problems that your audience, your greater audience, can relate with. And if your audience is truck drivers, they have the physical pain, they have the emotional pain of not engaging with their kids like they wanted to, and also the philosophical challenge of feeling like bad parents. And by doing this yoga program, you position your yoga product as the solution to those problems to help your target audience step into their preferred future. This is the classic Frodo Baggins and Gandalf partnership. This is the classic Haymitch and Katniss Aberdeen partnership. This is Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi, where they have these guides that help them step into the preferred future. And that is the hero's journey framework that not only works great for brand films, but for all of your marketing efforts. So now you have an idea of how to find your story for your specific brand. Either look at other things that are working with other brands and other brand films, and use that framework for your story, or use the hero's journey framework where you position your brand as the guide that helps your customer step into their preferred future by overcoming 3 obstacles they have.